Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 33rd edition of the BDE Sports Talk podcast, brought to you by your host, myself, Bill, and the D and E of the BDE, Dean and Eddie. Fellas, you're looking great as always. Not gonna lie to you, the few weeks off was great. No, I miss doing the podcast, miss talking sports with you guys. It's kind of become a routine for us at this point.
Sure.
8.5 months in, I counted. So,
Nuts.
on a quick note,
should count it in weeks, like a baby.
it'd be 32.
That's a good guess.
33 now. Yep.
Yeah, because it's the 33rd of.
Yeah.
It's easy to count. Bill does a good job labeling each episode.
On a quick note, obviously I was gone last week. Got to edit and listen to last week's episode. I thought you guys were great in my absence.
Of course.
Really think if people pick up on the pod and listen, feel like we're really starting to put stuff together. So if you're watching or listening right now, spread the word. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking us out, and hit that like and subscribe button now or later. We appreciate it. Don't be scared to leave a comment either. And
Be
hope you all
afraid.
enjoy. Yeah. I mean, it seems like people are hesitant to leave a comment.
People are always hesitant to leave a comment.
Yeah, like Jimmy Biggs.
Yeah, who obviously didn't leave a
He's
comment.
just been busy. So I hope y'all enjoy what we do weekly. With all that out of the way, fellas, how you doing tonight? How was your week/weekend without me?
It was good. I don't know. We going into the weekend, or am I?
Literally what he just said.
I didn't. Normally, it's the question, and then I'm a little off. I didn't.
Dean's struggling with his New Year's resolution, so
just staying sober, of course,
is an issue.
I'm so hammered right now. No, I didn't really do anything over the time frame, just to kind of laid around. You put my hands in places.
What?
Like a sweet novel with 50,000 pictures.
Yeah, there's a sweet picture book. I did. There was one thing that was kind of interesting. It was like a weird conspiracy theory about like the Mandela effect. Have you guys heard anything about that?
I love how you always preface your stuff with that. Like, you guys heard about the Neuralink or the woolly mammoth, and every time I'm like, no,
I know about the Mandela effect. Sure.
Well, you know about the Mandela effect, but do you know the conspiracy theory behind it?
No.
How it's nothing. It's not funny. It's just it sounds crazy. It's not that I believe it. It's that it's not crazy. So the idea behind the conspiracy is that it's the government trying to like change little things in our past to see what they can get away with. With an example of the Fruit of the Looms thing, how people always say, there's the cornucopia on the logo. You know what I'm talking about? Like that big cone thing. Yeah. There was a lady that had said like, there was a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo, and it got as far as Fruit of the Loom posting like their entire history of logos, and there was never one of those cornucopia things. And that lady was like, no, that can't be the case. And she went through all of her old clothing and found a Fruit of the Loom with a cornucopia logo on it, one that they didn't have on their history of logos. So I don't know. I thought it was. So I was like, that's interesting that Fruit of the Loom is even like, no, we've never had that logo, but yet on a certain set of clothing that she has, it has that logo on it. So that's why I thought it was interesting. So they're just like trying to see how much they can change without us noticing, like the Berenstain Bears. Like I always remembered them being the Berenstein Bears,
Right.
But they're the Berenstain Bears. So I don't know. Weird, crazy stuff.
It's interesting, like the Fruit of the Loom stuff right there, because I mean, it would take like incredibly rich, owners, CEOs, billionaires to be in cahoots because they're the people who make all the decisions, right? Along with like the top people of government, it would also go to like Cat Williams talking about the Illuminati.
Right. Yeah.
Talk about that, dude. How big was that?
Yeah.
That Club Shay Shay.
Having
I've
that
watched that whole
conspiracy
thing.
theory in my head, and then watching that, I'm like, well, I mean, maybe he's not crazy. I mean, he sounds crazy, but is he crazy? You know what I mean?
Who, Cat?
Yeah.
I didn't think
exactly.
Cat sounded crazy at all. I
Yeah,
mean, you could follow up a good amount of his stuff with like fact.
that is true. The whole Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey stuff.
You know what blew my mind is because I loved that original Kings of Comedy DVD or VHS whenever I watched it.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite joke on the whole thing was Said the Entertainer parking the NASA shuttle. And I've remembered that joke forever. That's the only one I can actually remember from that special. And then for him to say that, and then I look back and watch his, with the comic view or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that is the joke.
Mhm.
And it killed me, dude. I was like, I just think differently about the stuff.
I watched a video of Steve Harvey like completely stealing one of Cat Williams' jokes, and I was like, it was something about like putting gas in your car, and like you were able to like sit there and like kind of hang out, and it went from Cat Williams, and they showed Steve Harvey's like joke on it. It was almost exactly the same,
and you could see the Mark Curry stuff too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like, man, yeah, he tried to take Mark Curry's life. He kind of did.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw some like picture on X or Twitter today of like 8, because he said the 7. He's like, there's 7 people this applies to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they showed like a picture of 8 of them. They're like, well, this wasn't 7, but I found an 8th. I was like, yeah, that's kind of nuts, dude.
That's what they give you. I like how Shannon was just like, I mean, for $200 million, I'm
dude,
to get me one of them.
I might take that. That too. Yeah. I mean, Luda's got over 20 movies now,
for sure, and over 200 million.
I mean, for sure,
no question.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my weekend.
That was cool. My weekend, John plays indoor soccer, so he was out there doing his goalie thing. It's a different game, indoor outdoor soccer, because like it's set up like a hockey rink, so there's like no real out of bounds, and it's just a lot faster. And he ended up letting up a lot of goals, but like everybody's like, he's probably the best goalie in that league still. Like they lost both the games. It's just he was taking a ton of shots. So just impressed with the kid. I mean, that's tough because he's been dying to play football. So like this is gonna like probably change. But like one of his coaches was just like, yeah, dude, I mean, this kid could be like a pro goalie one day. He's like easily that, like he's good now.
He's got the reaction time.
He's just it's like all these, I talked to you guys about it before. It's just following that ball with at that age and not being afraid of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes such a difference at that age. Who knows when he gets older? I don't, it's whatever. Like he loves football.
You better hope he doesn't want to play hockey. It's an expensive sport.
Well, yeah, I'd have to take him ice skating first.
Andy'd have to play goalie, so you have to buy twice the equipment.
Yeah. But soccer, I mean, the kid's just, he reacts well. He reacts well to sports.
Right.
He's kind of got that. Like I don't know if he'll ever be like the greatest at like in his team or whatever, but he's always going to be good. It seems like.
Right.
He just kind of has that knack. I don't know. At least at this age. And then obviously wrestling began. I'm coaching the middle school team. That's been fun. The one thing that was bothering me, and it's not like a funny or interesting thing, but it got me going a little bit, was the Lions, Cowboys, how we have to go to Dallas again next year.
Yeah.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. That's like almost 4. Like, if assuming we win our first game, which is no given, that'd be 4 games in a row in Dallas. And I was looking at it, dude. In the last decade, if you go back to 2014, because obviously we're in 24 now, we've played the Cowboys 6 times. Only one of those games were in Detroit. And it could be a 7th time if the playoffs work out the way they were, but that'd be 1 out of 7. And in 2019, our leading passer for that game was Jeff Driscoll. Our leading rusher was Bo Scarborough. And our leading receiver in that game was Danny Amendola. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only time Jerry Jones is considering letting the NFL let them play. Dak threw for over 400 yards that game. Like, it wasn't like a blowout, but it was still like, I think, at that time, it was the Quinn Tricia era, obviously. So that year they went, at that time they were 3-6 and 1. I think they had tied Arizona at the beginning of that year or something. But it just pissed me off, man. It's like, dude, come on. Like, that is a tough schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, you get first place, you get a first place schedule. So on paper, it looks really tough. But to have to go back to Dallas again just seems like such bull, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. That got me going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I hear you. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. My weekend, real quick, Dean, to your point on the Mandela effect, it got me thinking of, what was it, Sinbad?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Sinbad?
Yeah. You're talking the movie, right?
Yeah.
But it like never existed.
Yeah. Crazy.
And that I feel like I remember watching that movie.
I know.
Yeah. That's another one of those things too that falls into
I don't know, dude. Yeah. I don't
I don't know what else I'd watch with Sinbad in it.
He had a TV show though too, didn't he?
Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe not in a couple of years.
And then there was First Kid,
Oh,
where he was like
yeah.
I don't know if that was the name. It was
either.
First Son, First Daughter, First Kid, something like that.
That was never made.
Oh yeah, is that gone now?
It's gone.
But
no, what did I watch?
Just some dude and a kid. I don't know. Just walking around Washington D.C. just following this kid and some dude.
So I was off, like I said last week. Went to Florida for a week. Ended up at Disney for a few days. At the busiest time of the year. My advice: do not do it. Do not go. It was terrible. I mean, it was still fun. Pretty good at navigating like rides, shows, things like that.
Of course, it's always people.
Yeah, and they were standing in the middle of walkways that are already congested and pushing people out of the way, line cutting. The list goes on and on and on. Example: we're end of the night. We're at our park, Hollywood Studios. And they have like, for the rides, they have like pre-show and whatnot. And so we were up at the front of this barrier, and when the barrier opened to go through, there were 2 kids that pushed past like 4 or 5 other people and just ran to the front, which, kids are kids. You can't really blame kids.
Yeah.
They were youngish. So
Short.
they ran up there. What's that?
Shorter than everybody, mostly.
Right. They're probably like maybe a little like 7-8 years old, maybe. And so they pushed through like 6 to 8 people. And so we get up to the line, like you walk and then you get in the queue and whatnot. And instead of the parents being like, hey, come back here, they pushed through 6 to 8 different people
Well, who do you
including
think sent
us.
those kids up there? They're like,
Yeah,
"Go get us a
yes.
spot."
Yeah, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, excuse me, I gotta grab them.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
just
Sorry,
stay.
oh, we're at the front. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they joined them, and like I was like, dude, and it was a full day of this, right? So at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm done with this. I was mad, and Kate's like, Bill, just let it go, and I let it go, and but other people were mad too,
of course.
like you just because they weren't like, excuse me, they just pushed, like they literally, like the dad like pushed my shoulder out of the way and walked in front of me. And
Oof.
after,
Oof.
yeah,
I couldn't do it. I don't know if I could do it,
You're
dude.
gonna get punched in the face, huh?
right. And so, of course, I'm gonna be upset, right? It's like not even excuse me or sorry or anything, and of course, Kate told me to settle down and whatnot. They didn't speak English, so there was no, like, I don't know if that's why they didn't say sorry or whatever the case was, but it was kind of like that the whole trip. Just rude people the whole time. So we've decided never to do that again. And then let's see, a couple other things I had. Oh, another was at Magic Kingdom, and Kay got in line to get like some popcorn and whatnot, and there was this group. There was a family of 4, a mom, dad, 2 kids. And sorry, I've been sick, so and all of a sudden the mom yells out. She's like, just want to let everyone know that they don't have pretzels and they're not going to let us wait in line. And we all just kind of look at each other like, oh, okay. Like,
Is that why you came here?
Like a soft pretzel?
Yeah, it's like, like a soft pretzel. And they sell them there, but they had run out.
Yeah.
And so they essentially, what I gather is that they were like, move to the side and we'll get the pretzels for you. So they went out of their way to go get more pretzels. And then all of a sudden, this lady's just like, I just want everybody to know that they don't have pretzels and they're not letting us wait in line. And of course, there's like a line of like 10 other people behind them.
Yeah. Why?
So everyone's supposed to wait for your hot pretzel. I don't.
You have to walk across the park to go get you a pretzel, and
So-
you want to wait at the front of the line.
So yeah, they're like, we're not allowed to wait in the front of the line. And of course, Kate's the next person to order. Right. So Kate goes to order, and this lady just goes, why does she get to order? And Kate just looks at her and just, Kate's not like super confrontational.
Yeah.
And she just like, this lady just sighs so loud. She's like, why do they get to order? I can't believe it. And so Kate, who didn't order pretzels because, we were told that they were out.
I would.
Yeah.
I know.
I'd be like, I'll take a pretzel. I'll wait with you.
And I'm gonna wait
At the front of the line, please.
So Kate got the popcorn and a couple pops or whatever. And as we leave, the lady goes, I can't believe this. And these poor workers were going out of their way to go get them pretzels. Just a slob of
They
a
should have
pretzel.
been like, get some popcorn then.
Yeah.
You know how you get out of this situation? You just buy something else.
Dude, I've actually been in a situation like that before as the worker. When I ran out of kettle corn one time at Binder Park Zoo. When I was working there as a 16-year-old, like this person literally was like turned around. He didn't announce it to like the zoo, but he announced it to like the 5 people right behind him. He's like, they don't have any more kettle corn. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for another batch to get here. I can make it. Just come back. I told the guy, I was like, just come back in like 20 minutes. If it like you might be gone. I was like, but that's as soon as I can have it.
Right.
That's as soon as like I gotta get somebody to get it. I can't leave to get your kettle corn.
Right.
I can get you some regular popcorn, and I was gonna give it to him for free
Right.
because like nobody was really supervising me at the zoo.
Right.
Like they were, but they weren't. So I was like, I'll give you this I said, I'll give you this popcorn.
I'll just give it to you.
Like, I'm
Come on,
sorry,
Mom.
I don't have any. I'll give you this popcorn. He goes, that's not kettle corn. I was like,
No.
all right. And I just put it away and I went to the next person.
Yeah.
Like, okay, dude, there's nothing else I can do for you.
Right.
Right.
I
You've
have
offered a
popcorn,
free
I have
popcorn.
kettle corn, I have pop. I have the 3 pops that you want. Okay. One of them's out. And I'm not a magical kettle corn fairy. So you can have a regular shit. Sorry. Or you can have soda. That's it, dude.
Right. Right.
Sooty pop.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Crazy.
just everybody at some point, I believe, needs to work in some kind of service. We all have. Everybody at some point should. Just to have some perspective
Just for a little
on the
Right.
situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Ugh.
yeah, sorry, I cut in on your thing there.
That was the worst. A couple other things. Chuck Smith can suck it. Chuck
Oh,
Smith.
yeah,
Hey,
you're fine.
there you
Hey,
go.
finally watched it.
I mean, dude, how
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah.
Just
Extreme.
imagine.
In his defense, what little defense it is, Warren Moon, and I looked it up, Warren Moon and Joe Montana were 37. So
But they had good years.
I understand that, but you know, if you're looking at some perspective of it, like 37 back then was pretty old. Like,
And
you know,
also in
screw
hindsight,
him.
it's like, of course, I would take a declining Joe Montana over Scott Mitchell, or
Yeah.
whoever
Careful.
was running it at that point. You know?
Careful, you might see this and call you
Oh
out on
man.
that.
Oh no.
Oh no. I wanted to say Bye Bye Barry made me a little emotional at the end as well. Not like tears or anything, but like that song came on at the end, and then you watch like his highlights, and it's just like, man, like for one, where did the time go? And two, like he'll always be my childhood hero. Like for you know what I mean? Like it just solidifies. I don't know if meeting Barry back then would it be as good as it would be to meet Barry now.
Couldn't be. It's like when Dean and I were talking last week, and I said, you know, in '93, I remember watching the games. I didn't appreciate it at all,
Right.
because then like I said last week, I just assumed we'd be good,
Right.
because that's where we were. Like we were good. We had Barry. Like we're just gonna be good.
Right.
And you know,
No, and
retrospect's a hell of a thing.
also his demeanor, like back then his demeanor was very like quiet, very not out, you know what I mean, not real personal, whereas now it seems like he's kind of appreciating being in the moment. I don't know. So
well, even in the doc, he was like, I'm not a shy person. He's just like, I just didn't like doing all that stuff.
Right, like not wanting to win the Heisman and
Well, obviously it was such a big like upbringing thing.
Yeah.
You know, you see it one or two ways. You see it like Barry, which seems more rare, and then you see the other side where they like act out way more, like, you know, Dennis Rodman or something.
Right.
You know, like it seems to go one or two ways, and it's not always like the players that make a stamp on things, so you don't really know. But I think that's usually how it goes in life. Like either just take that the way Barry did, and you just try to like appease his father his whole life, it seems like,
right.
and then you go the other way where it's like, I'm working outside your box now because of what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna put my shoulders to the mat, and I'm gonna.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
A random thing that I ran into just in time to ruin your New Year's resolution was eating healthier was McDonald's announcing they're bringing back the double Big Mac for all beef patties with a softer bun, a better sear, meltier cheese.
I didn't even know they did that before.
To really clog the old arts.
They did that before.
Double Big Mac? Why is that? That's not necessary. The Big Mac is a
Oh,
great
it's-
sandwich.
It's necessary, but
It's
They didn't
almost perfect
specify.
on its own.
it's so small.
Why
Why
double
is
it?
there smell now? It ain't the Big Mac of old.
Maybe replace that
They're
middle bun
bringing
with
it
a chicken.
Chicken in the middle.
Yeah,
yourself a
instead of the
gangbang.
bun.
4 beef patties and a chicken in the middle.
No, not the double Big Mac.
Oh,
Big Mac chicken special.
that'd be sweet.
I don't know. That's probably good. How could it not be?
They
How
didn't.
could it not be good? I mean, I'm not
They-
saying it's going to be amazing, but it's going to be good.
I mean, if it's good on a McDouble, I'm sure it'll be good at
Yeah.
a Big Mac.
I love
you know?
Big Mac and I like chicken. It's going to be good.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
good.
They didn't specify a price for it, but they said they're going to offer it at a price with more value compared to other places. But a regular
Well,
Big Mac,
Who else sells a
$8 to
double Big Mac?
$10 at least.
right?
Who else
Sells
is
4
selling a
patties,
double
right?
Big Mac? Yeah.
The old artery clogger.
I mean, there are small patties on the Big Macs.
Well, they put like the McDouble patties on them.
Yeah.
I mean, now it didn't
But,
always used to
man.
be that way. You know?
And
Used to
then,
be quarter pounders.
Dude, that'd be so good.
dude, I actually stopped at McDonald's today and I
Jeez.
saw the double quarter pounder, and the picture they had on there looked like a legit quarter pound. I'm like, man, that's a half pound of beef just sitting in between 2 buns.
So good. It's so greasy. It's so good. Give me 2.
Last thing I wanted to say was I thought you guys were great last week. Wanted to say I completely felt Eddie on the toenail thing. I had the same thing happen to me. I think it was at band camp. And I had to take my shoe off, but I had a hole in my sock. And in that scenario, when you're that young, like that's
I don't
like
even
super-
remember.
You don't
what you're
want
talking
the
about.
holes in your sock.
Oh, at the end, you're talking about like being self-conscious about clipping your
Yeah,
toenails.
the old tree climbers there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
That has
And,
stuck with me forever. Did I say that last week?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, but I must have had something similar happen like that, because anytime I have like a party I need to go to, or friends, like you said, like I get super self-conscious about trimming my toenails. I'm like, what if I have to take off my sock?
Bill, with the tree climbers, I picture you more than anybody in that scenario because you were laughing so hard and you gave me so much grief afterwards about it.
What do you mean?
It was a weigh-in at a freestyle tournament, and you were right there during my
Uh-huh.
weigh-in, and I took my
Uh-huh.
socks off, and the guy was like, "Look at those tree climbers," and you like died right there. And you brought that up for at least another week. I'm not like, it doesn't scar me. Like I'm like, oh, I associate Bill like negatively with that. But it was just like I remember that very much,
Yeah.
and I think that's what stuck with me. If anything, it's been a good thing.
Right.
Do you remember what the guy looks like that said, "Look at those tree climbers"?
No, I don't.
Classic.
Really? I feel like that would be like the one thing.
Just I couldn't explain other than just a regular white dude with stubble. Had some glasses on, probably had a whiskey before he got there. I don't, I mean, doing weigh-ins the day before a freestyle meet.
Right. Yeah.
That guy, when we could do the day before sometimes.
Yeah.
I also, your New Year's resolution segment, I leave for one episode, you guys go full Dear Abby on me. Like I'm like you know what you're promoting lighting up spoons.
I'm not
Just
promoting
God.
it.
Just
I'm
a
saying you're not going to be
taste,
able to just stop the next day,
That's fair. That's fair.
according to a Harvard expert.
Yeah. I took it to heart too. So I had no
You should.
resolution.
Well, I did, and you heard it.
Yep. How's that going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So
I completed mine.
Nice.
I ate 5 candy bars.
Dean always
One-
goes
in
to
one
completion.
It's usually pretty quick too.
New Year's resolution ended at 12:05 on January 1st.
This is
Already
true.
did it.
So let's get into this week's episode with sports wise. Michigan wins the national championship. Go blue. I wish I had the fight song going on.
Did
right
that
now.
happen?
It happened. Sure as
Whoa!
heck.
When was that?
It was 2 nights ago. The greatest moment.
Right.
The greatest moment in the state of Michigan's history.
6 nights ago.
The state of Michigan's history. Take it easy.
Michigan wins 34-13. JJ was 10 of 18 for 140. Blake Corum, 21 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. Donovan, 6 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns. Michael Penix Jr., 27 of 51 for 255, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Maybe some broken ribs. 11 carries, 33 yards for Dylan Johnson. I can go first and
You should
say go blue. Start with that. Just wanted to say it's a feeling that I hope one day you guys get to experience. Not the national title, the Super Bowl. It's crazy because 97, so almost 30 years. I still remember that team from 97 when they split the national title. And that team I thought that team was stacked then. You know, you got Hutch Sr., John Jansen, Jeff Backus, Jeremy Tooman, Charles Woodson, Brian Greasy. How special that team was to me.
It ain't easy.
It ain't easy being crazy. And I thought that team was special to me. It was always, obviously. This tops that feeling. I don't know if it's because I'm older and just with everything that has happened since then. The way they played as a team, the dominance of the defense, Mikey Sanders still coming back for a 6th year. Watching his growth from when he was here as a wide receiver to a DB, Blake coming back after injuring his knee, JJ only having 1 loss as a starter. But the defense is going to go down as one of, if not the best defense Michigan's ever had. They literally made McCord, Milroe, Penix in that order, question being on the field at times. Credit to Jesse Minner for scheming up the defense. They had all 3 of those teams confused all game long. To beat Ohio, win the Big Ten, win the Rose Bowl, and win the national title in the same year is something obviously I will always remember. And from my little Walmart Wolverine heart, we're the champs. It feels good.
I thought he was frozen. I thought you were frozen.
No, I'm just refilling my cup.
Thoughts from you guys.
I will say, I think what you are feeling though, I think the reason it's more special for you is because, I mean, for one, it's a straight up championship for them, right? I mean, compared to it being a shared. Plus, they actually had to. It wasn't like they were placed into the national. You know, there was a whole. You know, with the playoff and stuff, they had to earn their way there. I mean, that's huge. You know what I mean? I mean, they beat the second best team in Alabama, which really, in reality, what should have happened is Alabama and Washington should have faced each other in the first round, and then Michigan and Alabama met in the national championship. That was really the national championship game in the end. I mean, I even walked away from that Alabama-Michigan game thinking whoever wins this is going to win the national championship, in which, I mean, obviously Michigan did. But it was good. It was good to see Michigan win. I mean, it was a dominating fashion. I knew it was either going to come down to, it was either going to be a blowout by Michigan or it was going to be a close game just based on Penix being able to pick them apart, because they really don't have much more than him and their receiver. And I mean, their defense is obviously, we talked about it all year. I mean, it was not a great defense. It was good enough to get them there. So, I mean, it was a good win for Michigan, and I mean, we'll see what happens here in the near future.
And I do want to say, Ed, before you get in here, Michael Penix is a good quarterback.
Mhm.
He is a good quarterback. He had a bad game.
Yeah.
And credit Michigan's defense for that. But he also didn't play his best game when you needed to play your best game.
Well,
I also thought at the end of that, when they were down 34 to, what was it, 17, 10, whatever it was at the
17, I
last,
think.
whatever the last 3 minutes. And he was like hurt and holding his ribs and he was still out there. I was just like, if I'm the coach, like, this kid's going to the NFL next year. You're losing 34. There's no shot for you right now. You guys have been getting beat up all game. He's clearly hurt and on the field. I was just like, you just got to take that kid out. You got to think about him at that point. You're not going to win this national championship. And maybe I'm sure it was Penix too that wanted to keep playing. I mean, as a player, you always want to be out there, right?
Right.
But
for sure.
I think for as the coach, I think he should have just been like, hey man, like you've got a future ahead of you. You should just sit this last 3 minutes out. But that's just me. Maybe, I mean, I get it. It's his senior year or whatever. Like I would want to be in. But then again, if I had millions of dollars coming my way and I'm hurt right now and we're down, we're getting killed and I'm holding my rib cage. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
At least he didn't sit out the game, So.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, credit to Penix, for trying to stick it out. I mean, I don't blame him. I would have, I think I would have done the same. I mean,
as a player, for sure.
as you want to be there. I mean, he's a tough kid. I mean, it was his last college football game and he's had a lot of them, and he stuck it out. I mean, hell of a game by Michigan. I mean, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. They did exactly what they've done all year. I mean, they played really good defense. Their lines up front are just better than who they're playing. I mean, Bama was obviously about as close as you get, and they have
Georgia.
the big guys up front. But honestly, the difference in that game was not just head coaching, but I think, coordinator coaching. I think when you go further down the line, I just think overall Michigan was just had something else ready that Bama didn't. It's almost like they knew what they were going to do. But if you go from there, I'm totally joking. But as a fan of like neither team in the championship game, it was a very ho-hum. Like once Michigan went up 14-3, I'm like, this is over. For me, I know it's over. Like I know Washington can score, but just seeing the rhythm of the game and anything can change. So I would check back, but I'm like, man, the way Michigan's played all year and the way they've come out, I just do not see Washington making up enough ground at this point because Michigan's not going to stay at 14.
Right.
And I have a hard time seeing Washington because Michigan had them figured out pretty much, and they were dominating up front. When you do that, dude, it makes everything so difficult. And that's why Michigan could compete with anybody this year. They were just that good up front, dude. I mean, I'm not trying to discredit like Blake Corum or Donovan Edwards, right? Because I mean, you could say that about our running backs at the Lions, and I wouldn't discredit Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. When the line is doing what they're doing, I mean, everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
And so Michigan did it. I mean, full credit to those guys. It was impressive. I mean, what can you say, dude? I mean, they earned it. They earned every second of it.
I will say, I agree with what you said last week in regards to Georgia. I think Georgia was clearly the better team out of at least Washington, Alabama, and Texas.
I would have loved to see Michigan, Georgia. That's the real game.
That would have been a game.
Seeing what Michigan did the last two games, though, I mean, I wouldn't feel as confident as I did before the playoff as saying Georgia is better. I mean,
Mhm.
Michigan proved it to me. It did they nothing. They gave a crap because all it took was that they got to the playoff and they did what they needed to do. They're the champs. They're the champs. They're the champs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I would have loved to see. I mean, that is the real game, right? Michigan, Georgia.
Mhm.
But Georgia didn't do what they needed to do.
Right.
That's true.
So you're out.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
tough nuggets, bro.
Right.
You know, you're done,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, you should have won.
Yeah.
There were 2 undefeated teams left, and they played for the title, and Michigan won handily. It was an impressive win.
I made Saban retire.
Yeah.
Did he
I saw
retire?
that. He
Yeah.
retired today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday, January 9th.
Done.
Right.
Wow.
Also, Pete Carroll no longer the head coach at Seattle.
I got that.
I think Saban retired because of the transfer portal. I think
Because of Carroll? Oh.
no, because of the transfer portal. I mean, if you think about it, when he would get these guys, if they weren't playing and they were unhappy, the chances of them staying were way higher because you spend a year there and then you transfer, then you have to sit out a year. Then at that point you're like, I might as well just stay because I'm going to be playing when I'm a junior anyway. I might as well play for Alabama. And now these guys are like, now they have the power. You know what I mean? Now you can't let these really good 5-star recruits sit on the bench for two seasons anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? These guys are like, oh, I'm not playing. Well, I can go play immediately somewhere else and get paid to do it.
Which sucks because I think it hurts those kids or those guys because if those 5-star guys who were sitting behind other 5-stars, if they sat for 2 years and then just got better and then played, you know, I mean, you saw it. That was the system before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm for the choice. Like if you want to leave, you should be able to leave.
Right.
Mhm.
Right? It's your life, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it has hurt probably more potential draft picks than it's helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Real quick, I had put in our notes, where does this Michigan team rank in college football history? I changed it to college football playoff history because the landscape's just different, right?
Okay.
So what I did was I took 5 teams that went 15-0 in the college football playoff era.
Have there been many?
5.
Was it Alabama and Michigan?
2018 Clemson was
The
15-0.
19 LSU?
19 LSU beat
That's
Clemson.
probably the best team.
2022 Georgia when they beat TCU 65-7, and 2020 Alabama, the COVID year, they were 13-0 and beat Ohio State 52-24. They also were, I think they beat everybody by at least 20 points or something like that year. So for me, I ranked, and it's unbiased opinion, Michigan number 1, of course. No, I actually have the 2022 Georgia team because they were just so good.
Mm.
The LSU team right after that, probably close to number 1. The Alabama COVID team, which, I mean, they just dominated everybody that year. They beat Ohio State 52-24. And then I put Michigan at number 4. And then the 2018 Clemson team.
I mean, with your 5 that's there, I mean, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's the same.
I mean, with those 5, I mean, you know,
put it.
thinking about other teams, I mean, you know, because it was different originally. Obviously, that 19 LSU team and that 22 Georgia team, like those are, I mean, they just have so many that are cognizant right now. I mean, I even went as far as like you don't want to talk about it, but I mean, the 14 OSU team was pretty freaking stacked too, man. I mean, when I looked it up, top to bottom, that roster ended up having like 40 guys who have taken an NFL snap. Like that's, you know, that's something. I don't know if I'd say they're better than this Michigan team, whatever. I mean, I went as far as saying, the Nebraska Michigan teams in '97 were
Pretty good, yeah.
pretty damn good too, dude. Those guys were loaded. So that's why I was like, to me, when I saw the question, I'm like, it's hard for me to say. I would need to have I would like to see some analytic person put that together and say this is why and what. And I don't even know if I'd take that as gospel, but it's so hard to know because of eras and whatever. But this Michigan team, I mean, obviously a special team.
Yeah.
Anybody who goes undefeated and wins it all, I mean, they got it going, and that defense is up there, man. I mean,
right. Do you think JJ, McCarthy, and Jim Harbaugh leave?
Well, I don't know. I think they should. I don't know. Like, I think JJ should leave because he's projected to go right now. He's projected to go like number 12 to Denver, as according to ESPN. Like, that's just their mock, early mock, whatever. And I'm just not sure that even with another year, he'll ascend higher than that. Now, if he wants to, like, just be there and just be the Michigan guy, like, I say go for it. Like, I think good for him, dude, if he stays and does that. I don't think his ticket's going to be hotter than it is now.
Right.
And I just don't. That's tough. That's tough to beat. Even only, completing the 10 passes in the championship, he didn't need to complete more than that. I think that's what I've told people. Is like, I've heard that. I'm like, he didn't have to do more than that. Like,
right.
Did you see the running game? Like, why would you try to make him throw more passes? It's like hand the ball off to Marshawn inside the 3.
Right.
You don't need Russell to get that touchdown pass. Hand it off. We're good to go. That line's killing it. But I think JJ should go. I do. I think for his own value, as far as making money, I think that's it. I think this is as good as it's going to be, and I'm probably wrong. I mean, I'm not a professional. I don't know, but I think that's it. Jim, after the national championship game, I honestly felt like he was going to stay. Now I'm like, get that lifetime contract. You've done it. You can't be kicked out now. Right. But there's so much to it. And with all of the openings, good jobs. I mean, we've got Falcons, Raiders, Chargers, Titans, Seahawks, Commanders. With him, I would say Chargers, Titans, or Seahawks. Right. I mean, those are 3 really good jobs that he can come in and do good things for. I mean, that's what you go for, because they'll be like, well, we got a really good QB. He's good with QBs, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. He's been out in California. Like, that'd probably be great for his family. Please. Yeah. I think Seattle would be a great spot for him too. But it sounds like they're leaning towards Dan Quinn already. Coming.
Really?
Interesting.
Well, he was on that list too of coordinators, players like the most. AG was like at the top, and Dan Quinn was on there too.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I have on those guys staying or leaving. I think JJ should go. If he stays, I think that's cool for Michigan. I think that's cool for him as far as a legacy thing. I think as far as making money, now's the time. Jim, I think with all of the openings, that's tough not to. And with like all the other stuff, who wants to deal with the other? I mean, the NCAA obviously has been up his butt. And recruiting, we were just talking about having to recruit your own team every season, as well as recruiting everybody else, transfers, high school guys. Dude, that's for the birds, man. Who wants to do that? Who wants to do that?
Right.
$200 million. I might.
Well, yeah, I'll take a light skin.
Light skin. No, I agree with Eddie. I don't think like he said, I don't know how much higher JJ's ceiling goes. He could tear it up next year, but I don't think he's going to have I don't know how good the recruiting class is. I'm just talking out my butt.
I'm with you. I don't think he'll be better.
I think he would still be really good. It's not that I don't think, but there's always going to be other guys coming out that people are like, oh, look at this, flashy new toy. And then, JJ's just been sitting there unless he absolutely tears. I feel like for him to rise higher in the draft, not just like as a player, because I mean, obviously there's guys that have won the Heisman and, Troy Smith, for example, they get drafted in the 5th round. So it's like, you can be really good, but how much higher is it going to be? Right now, he's shown what he can do, and I think he's showing the potential that they want. Now, if he comes in next year, like Eddie said, it's great for Michigan. It's good. You know what I mean? It's great for the school, things like that. But if he goes out there and not necessarily lays an egg, but performs less than he did this year, it's hard to say that he would go any higher. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he could friggin' win another national championship next year. So, and that, you know what I mean? And that that'd be good for him as well. But then when it comes to Harbaugh, I had actually heard something along the lines of if he does stay, that he's going to be facing like he could be facing some sort of punishment from the NCAA, things like that. So if that's like a real thing, like if that's actually going to happen, I don't see him staying. But like Eddie said, after they won, I was like, well, why would he leave? You know what I mean?
Wearing the buffs, hoisting the trophy.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did it after everything where, 2 years ago, people were like, oh, fire Harbaugh. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. When I was always like, man, I would kill to have Harbaugh at Michigan State. That dude's, you know what I mean? He fires his guys up. He gets the right recruiting classes. He wins games. Why you got like you're upset that he's going 10-2, 11-1. I get it, but who are you going to get to replace that guy? And now look, now that you've kept him, you guys have now made it to that final spot. But well, yeah, when it comes to him staying, I mean that's up in the air. If all those rumors are true, then I don't think he stays. There's why stay for the headache? You know what I mean?
Right.
When it comes to that stuff. So
I kind of have a different take because honestly, like watching JJ all year, he definitely has the talent and he has the potential. And with his, like you said, with his stock so high, there's no reason not for him to go to the draft. But I think he'd benefit from another year.
Good.
And it's not me saying that because I want him to stay, because they've got Jaden Davis coming in. They have Alex Orji, who's already there. So it's not like there's a huge drop off. But I've watched JJ all year, well, the last couple of years, right? And he's got the tools. But when I see him, he's just not in a class by himself. Like, I don't look at him and translate him being a day one starter in the NFL. I just don't see it. Like, some of the decisions he made throwing the ball, the way he threw the ball, overthrew people, and yes, you can work on that, in training camp and whatnot. I think he'd benefit from another year. Now, with that said, all it takes is one shot to the knee, and you're screwed, right? So I don't blame him if he leaves. I agree with you. I don't think his stock could, I guess, be any higher, unless he improves over the offseason if he were to come back and be the quarterback that he was against Bowling Green and Eastern Carolina and UNLV, because he was a completely different quarterback against Ohio State. He was a completely different quarterback against Penn State. Now, given he was hurt, and he wasn't great against Washington. I mean, I get he didn't have to be, right? And there were a couple plays that he made that really kept them in that drive, like in the fourth quarter when he had that scramble, but it was a scramble. It wasn't a pass. So I'm not dogging on him, obviously. I think he's a great leader. I think he's a great kid. He has all the tools and potential to be good. I just think he'd benefit from another year. Jim, I watched a interview with Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan, before the championship game. It sounded like Jim was going to be gone. He said there was no indication, and he wasn't trying to say that he was leaving or staying. That they would put it on hold for the national title game. Winning the national title fulfills his college legacy. We all know that he wants a Super Bowl. Given every year he's interviewed for different NFL coaching jobs, I think that's what he wants. I don't blame him, for everything Eddie you said. I think he's gone. I think he truly wants to win that Super Bowl, and that would complete his Infinity Stones. So
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just like, he came back and accomplished what he came back to do for Michigan, which was to make them nationally relevant, to win a Big Ten, and win the national title. And he's done that.
Honestly, him being suspended for some games, kind of sets you up with your next coach too. It seems right?
And that's, they're in good hands with either Sharon Moore or Jesse Minter. Personally, I think I like Sharon Moore. I think he's a good offensive coordinator.
Here we go. Gonna be racist.
No. No.
Here we go.
No, and
there's something I just trust more about Minter.
No.
It's like Stavros talking about Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
There's something about Joe Flacco that I just trust,
So if Sharon Moore were to become the head coach, that'd be great. That's fine with me. Jesse Minter and the way he has built that defense.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the defense was the better unit, which is saying something because the offense was good.
Yeah. The last 2 years, that defense was great. It's great.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Who'd they choose to lead that team?
That's true. It was Sharon Moore. That's true. So, either way they go, it's going to be one of those two. There's no reason. There's no reason to go outside and get anybody else.
Who's West Virginia's head coach right now?
I have no idea.
That should be considered, shouldn't it?
Why?
Why not? I mean, when you go outside the program, you gotta go with the West guy.
Yeah, no thanks.
I mean, it worked on basketball.
True. That's true. we like Michigan near men. Okay.
West Va is the the breeding ground for Michigan coaches.
I guess so. So yeah, no, they're in good hands either way. I mean, I just don't want Jesse Minter to leave. I mean, sure. I was a little upset when Mike McDonald left to go back to the Ravens, and I understood why he did. But man, Jesse Minter, and they're both young, so I hope they stay. Probably not, but
one's got to go.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because they could get an opportunity somewhere else.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's tough, dude. It's like you see the Lions now, right? We might be losing AG, Ben Johnson, front office guys.
Right. Well,
success,
and I think
dude.
Here's the thing. I think what's going to happen is Harbaugh leaves, Sharon Moore becomes head coach, Jesse Minter goes with Harbaugh.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Honestly, if a great situation for like this whole thing for all those guys is if Jim Harbaugh got the job in Seattle, Jesse Minter follows, JJ gets drafted to Seattle, gets to sit behind Geno, work with Jim still. Like that for all those involved, that's probably the ideal scenario. Obviously, it doesn't play out like that. But just thinking about it while we're talking, I'm like, I mean, if you could think of a better spot, like, because I mean, yeah, JJ's projected at 12, but what are the odds? I mean, he could fall to, Seattle's not far behind that,
Right.
and
Right.
that would be, I don't know, of all the jobs, dude. I mean, honestly, Seattle would be the job. They're that close. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just in my head, but
I think that's what happens. I think Jesse Minter becomes a defensive coordinator with Harbaugh.
What if he
he's
takes
ready
them
to
Why
go.
both?
wouldn't you?
He's ready to go.
What if he takes them both?
I don't think that happens.
What?
If Harbaugh takes both with him?
Takes more? No, dude. Why would Moore pass that up?
Yeah.
The
He's
offensive
almost
coordinator
guaranteed.
in the NFL?
Yeah, but be head coach at UM. If
After
you do
winning a
good,
national
that
title?
opens up. Yeah, I mean,
being an offensive
those are big
coordinator in
shoes
the
to fill,
NFL.
dude. I might think about taking that OC job with
Yeah.
Harbaugh. You're like, oh, dude, I got to follow that up.
Because then you're immediately
I mean, he
interviewing
coached
for,
6 games, 5 games.
head coaching jobs.
Yeah,
in the
I
NFL.
mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Does he want to recruit? That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Uh,
That's what it boils down to.
and then real quick before we get into the Lions, is it an asterisk championship for you guys?
No, they won it fair and square. Now, when they strip it away, there's going to be a physical asterisk next to it, but but no, I don't consider it an asterisk. They won. They won it fair and square, man. You can't take it away from the players, man. They earned that. So no, I don't think so.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think it matters.
Right.
Whatsoever.
You said that before the season started.
Yeah, I mean I mean, when it all went down, it doesn't matter regardless. What may or may not happen, they won. We're not going to go back and say, "Oh, you Dubs the champs," or should be champs. It doesn't matter. None of it matters at all. The only thing that would change on a personal level is if, after it's all said and done and it's all out there, and they're like, "This is crazy," and I see coaches talking about what an incredible advantage it was and all this other stuff, then it doesn't really move the needle for me on a general basis. I mean, we shouldn't pretend that it's not some kind of attempt at an advantage, because otherwise you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's an attempt at an advantage. I don't know what kind of advantage it provided. I'm not going to pretend to know, because I don't. So whatever, dude. Like, I'm sure everybody's trying to do that. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. To the extent that it happened, I don't know. But I'm like, it's obvious. It's an obviously attempt, but I can't imagine, like, I will personally ever feel like there should be like an asterisk next to the championship. I just think they were the best team this year. I mean, the only argument that could be made is if Georgia had beaten Alabama, but they didn't, so they're out.
Right.
So
I will say, I saw an article today. NCAA President Charlie Baker, this is from ESPN, Dan Murphy, if we want to credit. NCAA President Charlie Baker said Michigan's football national championship was earned fair and square, and that his organization's unusual decision to share information about cheating allegations during the season should help to eliminate doubts about the legitimacy of the Wolverines' title run. So take that with a grain of salt, or take that for what it's worth, is what I meant to say. So
yeah. I mean, I don't put much into much of it. It was crazy. It seemed crazy, everything that Stallions was doing. But other than that, I'm like, these kids are really good.
And Harbaugh, they interviewed Harbaugh after the title game, and he was like, everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. We knew we were innocent, and I truly believe he probably didn't know anything. That psychopath was just being
Harbaugh.
No,
he's kind of a psychopath.
He's
quirky. We'll call it quirky. When they're winning, he's quirky. When they're not, he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. That's life.
Yeah. The psychopath with the 16-page memento.
1,000.
1,000 pages. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. The man of 1,000 disguises. That guy.
Now my glasses are off. Now I'm wearing a hat.
Fire up, Chits.
I won't shave my goatee though.
No one will ever notice.
Nobody will know.
Real quick, getting into the Lions, I just want to say my thoughts on the Lions clinching the division. It was a dream 30 years in the making, something that most of us thought maybe would never happen, whether it would be curse or we just plain were terrible. Want to say I'm with you guys. It was emotional watching them win the division. Goes to show how starved we were as a fan base for any type of winner. Want to shout out and thank Shiela Ford-Hamp for giving a crap about this franchise. And someone I think doesn't get enough credit at times is Martha. Martha's really kind of what started it all, I felt like, because you could tell she actually cared, even though she was responsible for Patricia. She had also sought help from the NFL, if we all remember that. Genuinely, she wanted to turn that franchise around. So I do feel like she deserves some credit for getting the ball rolling, but the focus is on Shiela, right? You can tell she truly cares about the team and the city, unlike a certain owner, which I'll have words for later. She genuinely wants to win, has created a culture that the franchise has not seen in the Super Bowl era. So super happy about that. Can't wait for this weekend. Lions beat the Vikings on Sunday, 30-20 to tie the franchise record of 12 wins. Jared Goff, 23-32, 320 with 2 touchdowns. Bobby Boucher was 30-44 for 396, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Did you end up seeing his like cartoon picture? Nick Mullins? Dude, he's like, he looked like, remember at halftime, Bobby Boucher came in the Barnes Bowl? David Montgomery had 10 carries, 40 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 13 carries, 30 yards. Amon-Ra, another great day, 7 catches, 144 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, no, it was a great day. Great to see them win. I want to ask you guys, with Laporta getting hurt, should Dan have pulled the starters?
No, I don't think so. I think he made the right call letting him play. If I get it, like obviously if he'll be under, like it's under fire because our starting, maybe even our second best, or probably our second best receiver on the team, went down. But at the same time, I get it, man. Like I don't know, like I feel like he thinks that if you it's just like what I was saying at the beginning of the year during the preseason when Goff didn't play and he came in that week 1 and he just looked rusty. You know what I mean? He looked like things weren't going. I just don't think he wanted his guys to lose the rhythm. He didn't want the starters to lose the momentum going into the wild card play, knowing what spot we were going to be in, knowing we were going to be playing, the following week. So I don't think so. Maybe he could have gradually pulled some of the guys out throughout the game, but I just don't think any of them. I think the type of players that he has on that team don't want to not play. You know what I mean? I don't think they're not like, oh, I need a rest game or whatever. And obviously they'll do whatever Dan tells them to. Like if he's like, no, you're not playing, they're not going to. But I just think he respects that and he doesn't want his guys to think that he's not listening to them as well. So I don't know. It was concerning when Sam went down, but at the same time, I actually liked that he played the starters, even with really nothing left for them to really gain from it. But I did. I don't know if this is something that you were going to talk about, but if Laporta is going to be out for a couple of weeks, they say he could be out through the divisional round or whatever, possibly. Do you think they go for a guy like Zach Ertz that's out there that has a relationship with like our tight ends coach things like that? Like, or do you think they just stick with Mitchell, Rockright, and have Skipper out there every so often? I mean, that's what they've been doing. I mean, essentially,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
So I don't know. That was my thought on them playing the starters.
Yeah, no, I was on board with it. Still am. I think there was a stat. They made it more about QBs, but QBs were 10-16 after sitting before the first round of the playoffs or something like that. Stafford sat. I feel like that bodes well. At least that stat does, right?
Yeah, that's
Stafford sat. Goff didn't, and I do think there's something to keeping that fire going for sure. And I mean, yeah, it was a bummer, man. I mean, Laporta went down, and that really sucks because he's been such an integral part. But I mean, that could have happened on the first play of the playoff game too. I mean, that's just one of those. It came down funky.
Right.
Yeah. And
And
it
it
wasn't as
happened.
bad as you'd think it was going to be either.
For sure.
Right.
I like that you shouted out Martha just real quick because you're right. She doesn't get enough credit because she hired Bob Quinn out of trying to make the place better.
Mhm.
Like legitimately, went to the
Yeah.
NFL, was seeking help. And to Bob Quinn's whatever, I mean, Matt Patricia was the hottest candidate that year.
Right.
Yeah.
So all the moves at that time, they didn't work, but it was the first time that I can recall, like a legitimate, real effort was put in
Yeah.
from outside of like the organization. Like, yeah, Martin Mayhew was better than before, but he wasn't great. But we're
Right.
like, oh man. And then Bob Quinn came in. You're like, oh, he's better than Mayhew. Look at that. But
Mhm.
we still weren't good. And now we have like legitimate people.
Mhm.
And like you said, I mean, it just takes really just giving a crap. So
Right.
yeah, that was a bummer. Laporta going down. Just do the PFF grades real quick. Top 5 on offense. Obviously, Amon-Ra. Great season ender there. You said the stats. Followed by Khalif, which I don't know his injury update either. But I know he got a little knee issue going after that game too. So it was Amon-Ra, Khalif, Decker, Goff, Laporta. Of course, bottom of the offense, Glasgow again was down there. James Mitchell, which we might need to be counting on him. I mean, he's our next best guy and a draft pick of this regime also. So they've had faith in him. He's just got to kind of pull through. After that was Gibbs. Had his worst, roughest game probably in a few. It's going to happen. Kabinda, Craig Reynolds. Bottom of the defense, again, Benito Jones and Alualu. They're not creating a whole lot of pressure, and they're not making a whole lot of tackles. It is what it is, man. After that was Will Harris. Cam Sutton, again, struggling with big-time receivers. Kirby was after that. Top of the defense, got obviously Hutch. Hutch had a great game. Germ, Jalen Reeves-Maven, Melifanu, Anzaworke, and Aleem, which is promising with Benito and Alualu being at the bottom, knowing that Levi and Aleem are holding it down.
It was nice to see Levi play well.
Yeah. Oh, need it. We really need him. We need him to do it. So, yeah, that's all I got on that.
Real quick, Raymond is not going to play, it looks like, this weekend.
That's a bummer.
He was big for special teams.
Special teams. So he'll get that 1 or 2 catches that out of nowhere.
Yeah, he had that. Yeah.
Laporta has an outside shot to play Sunday.
I bet he doesn't.
I don't think he does either. So, for me, I pretty much said what I needed to say. The only thing that I do want to bring up real quick, and then we'll get into the preview for this weekend, is you can tell Sunday that Amon-Ra had a chip on his shoulder being snubbed from the Pro Bowl. And I saw a picture of him and Jefferson. They had traded jerseys.
Yeah.
And they wrote something on the jerseys. And I zoomed in and read it. And Jefferson was like, let your play do, it said on there, let your play do the talking, 2025 Pro Bowler. So unfortunately, he's just in a position where there are stars all over the place. But he's a star in itself, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think he was even named as an alternate.
He's an alternate.
He is? Okay.
Yeah. He's somewhere between second and fourth alternate.
Crazy.
It is.
Crazy. So with that said, the 10-7 Matthew Stafford led Rams coming to Detroit Sunday night, Ford Field's first ever playoff game. What are your guys' keys for the Lions to get their first playoff win since January 5th, 1992?
Oh, it's definitely going to be to stop the pass game because if you really look at the Rams roster, the fact that they made the playoffs is really good considering how they started the year. They have no offensive line, really. They don't have great offensive line. They don't really have a good run game. All they really have is Stafford with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua or whatever. So that's going to be number one. And unfortunately, that's somewhere where we
don't leave out the running back.
Cam Akers?
Kyron Williams.
Oh, Kyron Williams.
Who was like second leading rusher in the NFL.
Really?
Second or third, yeah.
Huh.
Or in the NFC at least. I can't remember.
I don't know. So that's going to be number one, and unfortunately for us, that's an area in our team that we tend to struggle with at times. Pressure is going to be huge. You're going to have to make Stafford move. And we've seen him play. You know what I mean? We watched him play for a solid 10 to 13 years or whatever it was, and dude's a baller. That's why they went 9-8, and that's why they're, in the position they're in now. And unfortunately, they're one of the hotter teams in the NFL right now. For me, with the Rams, they feel a lot like how the Lions finished last year, where they're coming up hot. Everybody's talking about them. Their defense is coming around, except this time they made the playoffs. And I don't know if they're necessarily the scariest team to play. You know what I mean? Like, I think that worked out better because I know Eddie and I talked about it. Like, you didn't want them to play the Packers again, which could happen, I guess, still. But it worked out, I guess. But, yeah, I think the key is to disrupt that pass game, use that D-line. Hutch is going to have a good big game or somebody on that D-line. Pressure from up the middle is going to be – I think that's going to be the biggest thing because if you can get a Lee McNeil or send Jack Campbell up the middle or whoever to get pressure on Stafford, that's going to get in his windows and you're going to disrupt him a little bit. So that's my thought. They got to stop the receivers. That's what it's going to boil down. They got two really good receivers, and we don't have a really really good corner, or an elite corner. Whereas they have at least one elite receiver. So we'll see. And we've seen what happens when, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, these guys have days on us. So just that's going to be the key. For me, that's going to be it. It's going to be pressure and getting Stafford off of his spots because that's what he's trying to do. He's throwing it to a spot and he's good at it. So that's my thought.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, mostly agree with that. I think it's mostly about stopping Puka because if he's gonna be, if he's gonna be playing out of a lot of slot or whatever, I think with Branch on him, if we can slow him down, like we've seen it with CD, with JJ, they can have big games and we can still win.
Mm-hmm.
It's about stopping the secondary pieces that run. We got to stuff the running back. Like I said a minute ago, he's at minimum top 5 in the NFL. I'm pretty sure he was top 2 at least in the NFC in rushing yards this year.
I had watched a video where they said their run game was trash.
Yeah, dude, he's got over a G.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, he's good. Not amazing, but he's good.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
you got to stuff it.
Right.
Matt Stafford, dude, you can't let him get in his bag, man, because once he gets that, little swag going, whatever, he's going to start slinging. He's going to start sidearming on you, whatever, thinking he's got his whatever going.
Yeah.
And once he starts feeling it, man, when he's on a roll, he's
It's
as
dangerous.
accurate as anybody.
Yeah.
And he's won a Super Bowl to prove it. So, pressure, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I think it's as much as being able to cover Puka. Cup might get his. That's fine. Cup can get his. We got to stop the running back. Got to stop Puka. If they're just relying on Stafford to Cup, I'll take that all day. And our offense has got to just work the way they've worked, man. I mean,
Right.
our run game needs to be firing up. If we're running the ball well and we're doing those things on defense, I mean, it's not going to be an easy game, but they should win. They should win. They're a better
double
team.
team Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Double team him, please.
No, I agree. They are the better team. And I know you guys kind of talked about it last episode, but now that it's official, when Stafford found out they were playing Detroit, I don't know if you saw this yet, but he had texted Kelly, and she said that he texted her and said, let's effing go. And he's excited. He's ready to go back. So, with that said, you guys talked about this last week. Are you kind of worried about like what Dean said, an emotional Stafford is usually a good Stafford? You kind of talked about it already, but or for me, like I posted a video on our Facebook page. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but if you haven't, go watch it because they got me all psyched up for
About our quarterback.
Goff. Yeah. For
That was
Goff
good.
and a chance to get revenge on LA.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I am worried. I'm with you, Dean. We've seen it. I mean, he grew up in Detroit. We watched him grow up.
He was 19, 20 years old when he got drafted, man.
Yeah. And it does worry me in a sense. But like Eddie, you just said, Detroit's a better team.
By far.
Yeah, I'm excited. Will the Detroit Rams fans wear their shirts this weekend and show up for Stafford?
The fans need to take the whole Stafford emotion out of it. It's like he's not our guy. Like, I was happy for him when he won that Super Bowl with the Rams. I really was. I was like, good for him. But I wasn't like, I love the Rams. Like, I'm a big Ram fan. Not like, no, it was like I wanted him to win one, and then after that, they could lose 16 games 3 years in a row for all I care. Like, good for you. You left. You got one. That's enough.
I'm not gonna lie. I was happy for him when they won it, but when they were playing that game, deep down, I didn't want him to win it.
I was rooting for him.
I just like, as the game went on, I'm like, this dude's gonna win a Super Bowl. We're we're rebuilding again.
Once he hit that no-looker to Cooper Kupp, it was
yeah, dude.
That was sick.
Like,
dude, if he's hitting no-lookers on us Sunday,
it's the secondary
Pain.
to do it on. If he's going to practice no-lookers, it's the secondary. It's the same. If he's got time in the pocket, you might as well throw a couple of them in there.
Yeah, that hurt a lot.
But yeah, no, the fans need to take the emotion out of it. Our number 9 now is Jameson Williams.
Mhm.
That's what we need to focus on the most. Is
Right.
just not. It doesn't matter that he came back. He's just another. It's the Rams. It's another team,
Right.
and they need to win. That's what it boils down to.
And, I wrote on here, if you say as a fan, well, if the Rams, and I've seen this, I saw someone on Twitter say this, well, if the Rams win, at least Stafford gets to play another week. Get the
What?
F out of here, dude.
No.
Get
Somebody,
outta
somebody
here.
said that
He's
for
a
real.
Ram. I wish I had screenshotted it. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. That he got ripped apart.
Oh yeah. I mean, I almost assume they put that out there just to be ripped.
That dude's a Ram. He's
Yeah.
not a Lion no more.
No.
And I'm not if you want to wear a Stafford Lions jersey to the playoff game, if you're going to the playoff game and wearing a Stafford Lions jersey, do it. It's your right, but you're an idiot.
What if
Wear
that's
a
all they
Lions
have?
shirt. Wear a Lion shirt. Go to Meijer, grab a Lion shirt.
Wear your Stafford jersey at the next Lions playoff game.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't wear
When
it
you
to
travel
this
to
one.
Dallas,
Yeah. When you travel to Dallas.
Oh, yeah. And I also want to bring up that the Lions should be the number 1 seed in the NFC. I wasn't here for that. 49ers
well, it just
lost.
happened. It would have happened over this last weekend.
No, when they lost to the Cowboys.
Oh. Well,
I
I
wasn't
thought you
here for
meant being the number 1 seed.
No,
Gotcha.
it's all
Gotcha.
predicated on it's over and done with, but it did screw us.
Potentially.
And Dean,
We got to
you're
win.
right.
We got to
No,
win the
Dean-
first one.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, I understand that, but they could have had a bye.
Could have.
Possible.
But, like Dean said, they had 2 timeouts with 30 seconds left, so
And a kicker that can kick a 70-yard field goal. So it's
yeah.
that's what they said. I don't know if that's true, but
And
no,
then
he's got a
Jerry
freaking
Jacobs
boot.
on CD Lamb
yeah.
or a Vildor.
Yeah, put
yeah.
Vildor
And they
on
got
Lamb
they got
for one play.
Vildor on CD man to man, no help in the back.
I'd rather have lost the way we did than have lost like that, honestly. So at least there's doubt.
Yeah.
Eddie, you guys have anything else to say before we move on? No. Okay.
Go Lions.
Go Lions. Went back and looked at season predictions. I went back through our old episodes. And so now that we're in the playoffs and college football's over, I wanted to go over real quick how we did. And obviously Lions were 12-5, Michigan 15-0, MSU 4-8, CMU 5-7, Western 4-8, and Eastern 6-7.
Yikes.
Dean, you had the Lions at 11-6, MSU at 6-6, CMU at 6-6, Western at 3-9, and Eastern at 9-3. Okay.
Glory days. The glory days for Eastern.
Yeah. Eddie, you also had the Lions at 11-6, Michigan at 11-1, MSU at 5-7, CMU at 7-5. You got Western right at 4-8, and Eastern at 10-2. I had the Lions at 12-5, Michigan at 13-0, MSU at 7-5, CMU at 7-5, Western at 4-8, and Eastern at 9-3. Damn you, Dooley! And one other one that caught my ear was the over-under. I don't know if you guys remember this. The over-under on Gibbs receiving receptions. And the over-under you had put it at was 60. And he had 52 this year. I don't know if you're going to count if, they win this week or what.
Season's not over?
Yeah, season's over.
That's true. That's
These
true.
stats don't count, but
That's
for
true.
whatever reason. No, I get it.
Dean, you did say Michigan would go 13-0 with probably a loss to an SEC team in the college football playoff.
I was this close.
It was very close.
We're overtime away.
Very close.
The boys almost did it, you know.
Gibbs was the third leading receiver though this year.
It's exactly
I
what I
know.
said at the time. Actually, he'd be the third leading receiver on the team.
You never said that.
I did.
Amon-Ra
You
was
just missed
first.
that part in that
Yeah,
episode.
Amon-Ra was first, obviously, and then Laporta.
I called Amon-Ra first for sure.
I'm sure you did.
He liked your post. He liked your comment. I mean, right? Is that what it was?
The comment, yes.
Red Wings weekly update. Before we get into it, wanted to say congrats to Alex DeBrincat on making the All-Star game. Also, Jonathan Bergeron, sorry, and Simon Edvinson, they made the AHL All-Star game as well. Rightfully
Nice.
so. Rightfully so. Edvinson's playing very well. Since the start of the new year, they've won 3 straight on the West Coast. First time they've won consecutive games since December 5th. Lions won all 3 games for them. He's looked pretty good in net, along with the defense looking a little better. Larkin is at a point in 4 of their last 5 games. Do you think the Red Wings are starting to figure it out? Or is this an anomaly considering 2 of the 3 teams that they played out west were in the bottom 3 of the Western Conference, and I think might be bottom 4 in all the NHL, minus San Jose.
I think what I take from that is that at least you see that they beat the teams that they're supposed to for the most part. But when it comes to, are they starting to turn it around? I'm hesitant to say yes, because we've done this every couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like they go on, they're super streaky, and they just can't find consistency. You know what I'm saying? And you can see it even during the games from times that they just can't find the consistency. Like I don't need to say it again, but you know, like we've talked about it a bunch of times. You know, they'll be up and then they're up 3 and then they're immediately down by 1. You know what I mean? Like within a minute or whatever. And so they just need to find that consistency. I don't know if that's purely based on chemistry or whatever, but it's hard for me to say they're turning it around. I would say maybe, but we'll see once they start playing, you know, other teams again.
Right. Edmonton tomorrow.
That'll be a good.
Edmonton
That'll be
at
a
home
good start.
though.
Edmonton on Wednesday or on Thursday.
Yep.
I think we beat the Oilers last time we played them, but either way, I mean, it looks good. You like to see Lyon out there playing. It seems like he may have cemented himself as a starter. Even when Husso comes back, you would think he'll get the majority of the games, but who knows? With Lalonde, honestly, I never really know. Every time I think the chemistry's coming together, obviously, then they go on like
it's too
a losing. You know, they'll lose 4 of their next 6, dude. You know, I don't know. I have no idea. And we're 40 games in ish,
right?
About 40 games in, so we're almost halfway, or just at halfway, and it's hard to tell. So far, they're fifth in the division right now, 1 point behind Tampa. We need to be at least 4th. I said that since the beginning. I mean, you got to be at least 4th. You're not going to make the playoff otherwise, and I think it's very important. Or it's important for them to make the playoff this year. The team is there to make the playoff. Just missing that, I guess, elite goaltender, but who has one? Not many.
Right.
So, you know, you got to go with what you got. And I mean, I think we'd all agree that Lyon seems like the best option so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I'd like to see a win against Edmonton and go from there.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Also wanted to bring up your comment on constant line changes from Lalonde. I believe I said that a couple weeks prior. No one listened to me.
Well,
kind of like that.
Takes
that
a real
Ertz
man to say something.
It's like that Zach Ertz question you guys just kind of brushed over earlier in this episode.
Well, you know. Anyway, what were you saying, Bill?
No, just
Trying to brush over the Ertz thing again.
Oh yeah,
it's
Zach
over.
Ertz.
It's over now.
Zach Ertz, yeah. They could bring Zach Ertz in.
Okay.
I don't
He's
think
got-
they will.
I don't think so either.
I just don't see them doing anything like that, which they would have, right? I don't know.
By now, you'd think so. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're letting people go, and then so
Kidding.
sorry about that. I completely forgot about Ertz.
It's fine.
I mean, he's an upgrade over Mitchell.
Yeah,
You know,
he would be.
Gronk's
for
out
sure.
there.
That'd be cool. What if he did? That'd be kind of cool.
he was gonna retire before he.
I know. That's
Yeah.
why it would be funny. It'd be full circle. You know.
No, the Gronk that played for the Lions before.
the long snapper.
No, the tight end.
Was he? I thought he played
Yeah.
long snapper.
No, I'm pretty sure he was the tight end.
I think you're. I mean, I think that's his position, but you know, he is the snapper.
The real Gronk.
Scott Daly, you know what I mean? Guys like that.
One thing I did want to touch on real quick is Skipper is kind of a
Racist.
hothead.
Every time I see him on camera, I'm always like, Skipper, you big racist. Because of those, I don't know. It's not true.
No, right. But he's always
don't know
just
that.
talking.
It's true.
He's always just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
At some point, they got to sign this guy to like at least a 1-year contract. They're just making him practice squat it every year and then being elevated.
Yeah, no kidding.
every year he comes into the office, they're like,
Oh, Skip.
Hey.
Our practice squad leader. What's up, buddy?
Hey.
We need you down there, man. So real quick, Cade goes down. Pistons may not win another game. They lost tonight to San Antonio. Cade may be out a couple weeks. Dean, you brought it up. I keep going back to you. They may break their own streak. It doesn't look good.
It doesn't. It doesn't. No, I don't know. How long is Cade? Isn't Cade only supposed to be out for like a week or two or something like that?
Yeah, it's like something like 2 weeks.
I think that's when they're evaluating it again.
Is that the plan? Is
I
that
think so. I think they're going to
I've-
evaluate it in another week or two.
It's
don't think
probably
he's just
2 weeks
out.
since we don't know as fans.
He's going to sit as long as possible.
Yeah.
And who can really blame him?
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We don't know any of that information because it's 2 weeks ahead. So
Yeah. The
Right.
plan 2 weeks ahead of us.
The
How could we know? We're just fans.
we're just
Yeah.
we're just fans.
only
Tom
good
Gores,
thing.
2 weeks in the future already. That's awesome.
That's
so
true.
glad.
I forgot about that.
I'm so
the-
glad they're 2 weeks ahead of us.
The only good thing out of the last couple of games is that Bogey has been playing okay ball, maybe good enough to. They just need to get rid of some people. They need to start trading for some assets. I'm sorry. At this point, it really doesn't matter, and none of these guys really want to play for this team right now. I'm sure of it. Even when I was watching earlier, you seen like Duran like getting subbed out, and he's just like I don't.
He was playing pretty well though.
And he has been playing. I'm not saying trade him,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's quite a few guys. I watched Alec Burks. I mean, I know he's on a 1-year deal, but I watched him miss a layup earlier. And,
Yeah.
Jacking up threes. It's like, dude, you're not that guy. I'm sorry.
No.
You're not that guy.
He wants to be.
He wants to be.
He
And
tries.
I don't necessarily hate him for it because somebody's got to try something out there. But I don't know, man. They need to do something. They need to make some moves. They need to get some assets. That's what they should really be looking at. If guys are starting to kind of peak up, they need the trade. They need the draft capital, if anything. If they can get 5 or 5 guys in the next draft, that'd probably be for the best. Let's get a whole bench play off the bench next year. But yeah, that's
Eddie, it looks like you got something to say.
What's there to say? I mean, I don't even care if they set the record. Like, that's where I'm at. I don't
Right.
know. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like you said, none of those guys want to be there. Everybody wants to look like they're too good to be there.
You
right?
won 2 games.
Like, you don't want to act like I'm trying super hard, but my team loses every single game.
Right.
Like, people. That's just how people are.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not trying to lose. It doesn't matter. None of it really matters because, like I talked about before, it just starts at the top.
Yeah.
So, and when people don't care, then why should we?
Right.
I want to. I do. I can't help it. But, at this point, I don't care if they lose every game because I just almost expect them to. So it's like, okay, whatever. Like,
Right.
if you guys, why should we invest if you're not? You want to pretend like you don't care, like you're too good to be there? Then I don't want to watch you anyway. Don't act like you're too good to be there. That's what pisses me off when it comes to like players. Like, you're too good, dude. You're on the team, okay? You're not too good to be there. You're there, dude.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You're part of the reason. That's what it boils down to.
I wanted to give credit to Eddie for his Tom Gores dialogue the last couple weeks. And something that kind of, excuse me, I put a cough drop in. That stood out was how true it is that sport brings together all types of people, and that winning does that.
For sure.
I mean, if you look at what happened in like the early 2000s with the Pistons, like from January 19th, 2004 to February 5th, 2009, 259 consecutive sellouts. That's with a recession in 2008. Also, 245 consecutive sellouts from November 5th, 1988 to December 10th of 1993. And I'm going to give credit to Greg Johnson at the Grand Rapids Press. That was in 2009 when he wrote that. So, to your point, winning not only brings together all types of people, but it also makes you money because you're selling these tickets every night. Now, we've seen it. We've been there. They sell the tickets. Sometimes people don't go, right? Tickets are sold anyway.
Right.
It seems like Tom Gores just wants to say he owns a team and he doesn't care about the actual team. Eddie, you might have said that already. I agree with you. He sounded arrogant, pompous, and saying that they're 2 weeks ahead of fans and press, especially since they haven't won another game since the win, their third win of the season. They've now lost 6 in a row after tonight because he has no plan. He has no plan. He's trying to save face. I don't know if you said it. If your plan is 2 weeks ahead, guess what? We're 2 weeks out from when you said that. You haven't won a game yet.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
2 weeks has happened.
Oh, I'm sorry. You won your third game. My bad. You've now lost 6 in a row. There's 2 weeks. That's 14 days. What's going to happen 2 weeks from now? 6 more losses? It comes down to him and Troy Weaver. You said it. They're the new, I wrote on here, they're the new William Clay Ford and Matt Millen. And I agree with you. I can't stand it. Tonight, you pretty much got stomped. Now, mind you, they're on a back-to-back. Still doesn't excuse it. You played a not good San Antonio team tonight. And you were down 30 at one point. You gave up 93, 95 points after 3 quarters.
I mean,
You don't.
The night
they don't care.
before, they scored 47 in the first quarter, I
Yeah.
think, and lost.
They scored 63 points in the second half. It's ridiculous. And I watch it because of the pod. Honestly, it's probably more than I should. And credit to the fans that go.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
You feel bad. You feel for those season ticket holders. I mean, they're just trying to support that team. And they're having to go watch this. Getting beat by 30 points in the third quarter to 8-win San Antonio team. 2-week plan. Can't wait for the next
See what
2
happens
weeks.
in 2 weeks.
It's coming together.
It was the 4-week plan, guys.
He's
that's
4
my
weeks
bad.
ahead of us.
He's
Yes, it's a full
4
month
weeks.
My bad.
ahead of
So-
you idiots.
Yeah. You plebes. So, all right, last segment. Enjoyed the Would You Rather last week. Got a new one for this week. Overrated or underrated? I got a list of stuff here. You're just going to tell me if it's overrated or underrated.
All right.
Taco Bell.
What if it's in between?
Improperly rated.
Underrated.
Underrated.
It does get a lot of crap because I call it taco cleaner as well. So, but it is delicious. That cheesy gordita crunch. Yes, sir. Arby's.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Hugely underrated. I would say.
Overrated.
No.
Really?
Way too expensive.
Well, sure.
Way too expensive. I paid $5 for 4 mac bites, mac and cheese bites.
I think they're
I couldn't
going 2
believe
for
it.
$7 beef and cheddars right now, though.
Yeah, they're doing 2 for 7 beef and cheds right now.
$3.50 a beef and
That's
ched?
better. That's better.
You
than
remember
most
them
deals,
4 for $5 boys though?
Of course. This is
Well, did they do
Biden's
it-
America, Bill.
Did
Yeah.
they do
Look
a
at
10 for 10
inflation.
at one point? Didn't they do a 10 for 10 at one point?
We're not political.
When we were kids? Yeah.
Regular roast beefs, yeah.
Oh, dude.
This is Joey's America. Joey Beef's America.
Sleepy Joe.
Paying $7 for 2.
You
beef
falling
and
asleep at the wheel, Joe. We need the beef and cheddar prices to come down.
Oh man.
Give us a 4 for $5. I'll be there every day.
We're also bone. Watermelon.
Oh,
Overrated.
I'm gonna go fast food.
No, it's not all fast food. There's a bunch of
Watermelon.
I don't know, dude. A nice fresh piece of watermelon on a hot day is pretty nice.
Underrated. I don't know. I don't eat watermelon.
I'm gonna say
there's
overrated.
there's no right or wrong answer.
right.
Yeah, Dean.
well,
Shut up.
it's hard for me to answer that question.
That's fair.
Just answer it.
Rated.
Brussels sprouts.
Ugh. I don't know. Overrated.
Underrated. You put some oil and salt.
The
you
thing
put
is,
them in the oven.
I feel like people really like Brussels sprouts now.
That's pretty good.
I mean, they are good.
If you
I'm
do
gonna
it
go-
right.
I'm gonna go overrated. I'm gonna go
That's fair.
overrated.
That's
It's
fair.
overrated for sure.
I like them, but I don't know.
It's
I
like
get a lot of-
they can be good, but keep it in your pants. Like they're not amazing.
Right.
Like calm down.
Like,
Yeah,
it
you
still
had
tastes
a
like
good
Brussels
Brussels
sprout.
sprout, dude. Calm down. Okay, that's great.
Bread with butter. A
Um,
sleeper household favorite.
Underrated.
I would say
Underrated.
as well. Yeah.
All time underrated.
Batman Forever.
Ooh.
That's
Can
Val
it-
Kilmer.
Can it be overrated?
I don't even know if it. Yeah, I don't think it can be
I don't
overrated.
think it can
I
be.
don't think it's been overrated by anybody. So I guess it's underrated.
I guess it's underrated.
Hook.
It's a classic. I would say
Sure.
underrated
I
because
said
it's
underrated.
because it's such a classic.
Love that movie. Ooh.
That's-
Ooh. Ooh.
It's Robin Williams.
I love the movie. I just don't know if it's underrated because I think it's held up to a high
Is
standard.
it properly rated?
Well, I can't say it was over.
Yeah, but that's not those aren't the options. So I'm trying to figure out what's the
can
pick.
Properly rate it.
What's the other option?
I would say it's very properly rated. I feel like everybody enjoys it and nobody like oversells it.
I didn't know that's what you meant by it when you said properly rated. I thought you were like, yeah,
Sorry.
just pick one. Like properly
I thought
rated.
that's what we were doing, so I was trying to figure it out.
No,
Yeah.
you can go properly rated. That's fine.
Oh, then it's definitely properly rated, in my opinion.
I would say so.
The Christmas Story.
I'm gonna go overrated.
The Ralphie,
Yeah.
BB gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, overrated by far.
Overrated. Dude.
I think people talk about all. I've never been able to
rarely
watch it all the way through.
laughed or smiled during that movie.
I can't even make it through it. I just fall
Yeah,
asleep.
I've never sat down and seen it all the way through. I'm watching. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
No, I'm with you.
and then I'm like, all right, I can go do something else.
I probably if watched it when it was released is probably different, right?
For sure, of course, yeah.
The show Friends.
Probably overrated. It's a really good show, but people hold it up like
show.
it's not the best show ever.
Right.
Right.
Overrated.
Yeah, overrated. That's a good point.
Seinfeld.
I'd say properly rated.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
There's hype
properly.
to it, but
It's
not.
proper.
But it's not like, you know what I mean, over the top. Good show.
Family Guy.
Overrated.
I am a fan. Yeah, overrated as well.
Okay.
It's gone downhill quite a bit last probably.
It's just the
5
same
years.
thing a million times in a row.
Right.
It's hard to still be in.
Right.
I think.
No.
Starbucks.
Oh, way overrated.
Super overrated.
It depends. What about like when you go into the gas station, you get like the glass bottle? You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
I think
fair.
that's better.
Those are
going
good.
to Starbucks.
Like physically going to Starbucks. Yeah, that's
and getting yourself a venti pink drink.
a chai minty latte or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going off their regular coffee, and I think
Yeah.
their regular coffee sucks.
It's not good.
It tastes bad to me.
Okay. Jordan shoes.
Proper. Maybe over, but dude, I don't know. They're just classic. It's just
It depends on the shoe. If you put them all together, I would say.
well, you know what? Overrated. I'm going overrated.
I'd say slightly overrated.
That's kind of what I was leaning on. It was slightly overrated.
New Balance shoes.
Underrated.
When it comes to comfort,
Super underrated.
comfort underrated. Now, when it comes to looks, I think they're properly rated.
Big old M on the side. Love it. Okay. Sweetest Day.
That's overrated.
It's got to be overrated because I don't know. It doesn't seem like it should even be a day.
Yeah.
Yeti.
All those are overrated to me.
The Yeti's
Stanley,
properly
Yeti,
rated, I think.
The other one.
Because their function is pretty spot on. For what they're offering, it's exactly what it does.
For the price?
Now, if you're adding price into this,
Well,
then
you
it's
definitely
overrated.
are.
Oh, they
You
don't
got to.
by far. I wasn't doing
Arby's?
it for Taco Bell.
Remember the Arby's conversation we just
I
had?
was that was for him, not for me. Okay, I don't care how expensive Arby's is. It is delicious.
It's underrated regardless.
It's underrated.
I will pay $20 a beef and shed.
Wow.
20 per.
Pokemon.
Overrated.
I'll pay the $5. Wait, what is it?
Pokemon.
Properly. It's proper. Okay? Maybe borderline under, honestly.
Nerd alert!
Last one. The most overrated thing ever. Cornhole.
Yeah. By far the most
Probably-
overrated thing.
In general, underrated.
I would say underrated. I enjoy it.
Because it seems like just a backyard game when it's really a lifestyle.
Nerd alert!
That's me saying I haven't played in like 6 months.
Federation Cornhole. All right.
What are you gonna do?
All right. Well, fellas, that'll do it for this week's episode. Glad to be back with you guys. I'm looking forward to 2024. See how the podcast evolves and grows. To everyone who watches or listens, thank you. And remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you. We'll be back next week with another riveting episode of the BD Sports Talk podcast. Everyone have a great one.
Sports talk.